Welcome! In this video I'm going to be taking a look at this Olight ArkPro EDC flashlight. So this was provided to me by the distributor, but they're not compensating me for this video and they're not reviewing it before I post it. If you find this video helpful and you want to purchase one of these, I'll put a link to it in the description, and if you use that link it helps me out a little bit and doesn't cost anything extra. So let's get this open. Here we have the light, magnetic charge cable, we have a card here, and we have an instruction manual. So let's take a quick look at this. So here we have the specs, we have a chart here, has the light sources here. So we're dealing with the ArkPro, so we have pure flood and spot, and then we have UV light mode and laser mode. So for the white light on the pure flood, the lumens is 1500, and that will run for 4 minutes, and then after that it drops to 520 lumens, and that will run for 140 minutes. Now for the spot, it's 800 lumens for 4 minutes, and then it drops to 400 for 130 minutes. Now if you go down to the moonlight mode, that will go to 1 lumen and it will run for 14 days. So it has a very long runtime on the lowest mode, but it has very good runtimes also on the other modes. So like the low mode is 15 lumens and that will run for 72 hours. Here we have some other specs down here. So the laser on this is less than or equal to 5 milliwatts and it runs for 50 hours. Less than or equal to 0.39 milliwatts is 226 hours. We have some more specs down here. So here we have the operating instructions. You can pause and read through those. So turn on the light, you press the center button. For moonlight, you hold down the button. For turbo, you double press the center button. Change the brightness. When it's on, you long press the center button. So for the laser mode, you're going to press the side button. For momentary on, when off, press and hold the side button. And to change the brightness, when on, hold the side button. Now you can run the white light and the laser at the same time, or the UV and the laser at the same time. It also has a lockout mode, so when it's off you press the center button for 2 seconds, that will lock it out, so if you put it in a bag it won't accidentally turn itself on. Now here we have some more specs. Battery capacity is 2000 milliamp hours. It charges with USB-C. Full charge time is 1.5 hours with USB-C. With the magnetic charger it's 3 hours. So let's look at this here. So it has a sticker on it with the functions. So this is the laser. This is the selector for UV, pure flood, and spot. USB charge port. There's a note on the lens. It says if you have a streak, clean it. So I'll pull these off. It says charge to activate before first use, so we'll do that. So here I have a charger. So this comes with a magnetic charger. You can also just charge it with USB-C. So we'll plug this in here, and this will just magnet to the bottom. And it's charging at 0.74 amps, so that can vary depending on state of charge of the flashlight. So I'll pull that off for now. So this is made of aluminum. It just feels very solid. Has some kind of grip there. Now we have a two-way clip here, so you can clip from either side. It says ArkPro here, laser 3R there. Here's the charge port. So that even is metal. It flips open, has a real nice feel to it. So this is just a very premium feeling flashlight. So to turn this on, we can press this center button. That turns the light on. So we're on, that would be flood mode. So I'm moving this here. There we have spot mode and UV mode. So I'll press it to turn it off. We press the side button, we have that green laser. So I'll turn off my camera light. Now I'm just demonstrating these modes on my bench here, but I will show the light from this in the dark. Now with it off, I'll hold down the center button. When the light turns on, I'll let go, and we're in the moon mode. So that's that 1 lumen mode. That can run for a very long time. And that may not seem like much right now, but if it were pitch black out, that would be a decent amount of light if your eyes are adjusted to the dark. So I'll double press the center button, and that's the turbo mode. So that's the very bright mode. Now we're going to have flashing lights in this video. I'll turn it off, I'll triple click. And we're going to have the strobe mode. Now I'll turn it on and I'll hold the button down. And we're going to go through the different brightness levels. So that was on the floodlight. Let's go to the spotlight and we're going to have the same kind of thing here. So there's turbo mode, strobe mode, and we have that moon mode. So here we have the laser, and we can turn the light and the laser on at the same time. Looks like when I turned it off, it turned both off at the same time. So when it's on, I'll long press the side button, and that will change the brightness. So there's the low laser, there's the high laser. And of course we have the UV light. If we hold the button down, we have the bright UV light. And that feels very warm on my skin. Obviously you're not going to see a lot, but that's very bright. So I'll place this on here again. And it does light up the bottom of this base here when it's charging. So it's currently red. It's very bright in here so it's hard to see, but that should turn green when it's finished charging. So I'm going to let that charge up, then I'll do a further demonstration. Okay, so I'm going to start off here with a little bit of a short throw test, and then I'll go outside and do a longer throw test. So it's dark in the room I'm in. There is a little light coming in from the background here, but it's not very bright. So I'm going to start here on flood mode. So I'll turn that on, and here you can see that. So we have a nice even light. Now if I hold this down, we're going to go through the different brightnesses. So we're going to start off on low, medium, and high. Now I can double click and get to turbo mode. So that's very bright there. And if I hold this down while it's off, I can get to moon mode. So this is a very faint light. So if you're camping in the middle of the night, you turn this on. With your eyes adjusted to the dark, this would provide adequate brightness for lots of tasks. So now I'm going to go over to the spotlight mode. So we'll turn this on, we'll hold it down. So here we have low, medium, high. Double tap, we have turbo mode. So this has a bright spot in the middle, and then it kind of fades towards the edge. So this would be good for looking at things at a distance. So for the up close modes, we're most likely going to want to use the flood as opposed to the spot, although you could use either. Now if we triple click, we're going to have that strobe mode. So we also have the UV mode. So this is on UV and it's not showing up very much right here. Of course we can hold down, we can do the brighter UV mode. You can see that a little bit better. And now let's turn the laser on. So here we have the laser. This is very bright. Now if we hold it down, we can go to a dimmer laser. So if you're outside, you might want the brighter laser. Inside, you might want the dimmer laser. Now we can use the light and the laser at the same time. There are a number of uses for UV light, but one is to charge up glow-in-the-dark items. So here I have a 3D printed, it's a temperature tower. I'll turn it on the bright mode, and I'll go over this, turn it off, and we've charged up that 3D filament. Okay, so I'm standing at the end of my 50-foot driveway. I'll turn this on. So first I have the flood on. So this is pretty much lighting up the whole driveway. I'll hold it down and we can see the different levels. Now we'll switch it to spot. And now this is throwing further, so we can see that sharp dot. Now I'll turn it off and I'll double click, and then we're going to turbo mode. So this is very bright here, and you can see that really lights up those doors. Now if I do triple, we're going to have that strobe mode. Now I'll hold it down. Now this is the moon mode, and I can just barely see that on those doors. And there's a street light off to the side behind me, so it's not pitch black out. You can just barely see that moonlight. Next, let's try the laser. So the laser is very visible at 50 feet. It's very bright. Now if I hold this down, we're going to go to the lower mode. And even at the lower mode, it's very visible. Now when it's on the high mode, I can actually see the laser beam going to the door. On the low mode, I can't quite see it. So there's particulates in the air that's bouncing off of. So here I'm at a car tire. I'll turn this on the moon mode, and I can see fairly well with this. So if I had to take the lug nuts off, I could more or less use this mode. And this is on the floodlight. Let's go to the spotlight. So this is the spotlight, so you can see we have that brighter light there. Now just turn on the regular mode. And this is the brightest. Well, let's go to turbo. So this is turbo mode, and this is really almost too bright for this application. I don't need it this bright. So this is the high mode, and this is much brighter than I need. Now in medium mode, this is a good mode if I dropped a lug nut and I needed to find it. This would probably be plenty of light for that. And for something up close like this, I do think the floodlight's a little better than the spotlight. Okay, so here I'm in the engine bay of my car. So I'll turn this light on, and we have my power steering reservoir here. Now I had a leak here, and I put some dye in this, and it's activated with UV light, so I'll turn the UV light on. And now this is kind of lit up, but I'll take this off. And you can see this is really glowing under that UV. Now I'll hold it down. So this is on the bright mode here, and this is the lower mode. Now the leak I had was right down here, and it's kind of sealed itself up, but you can see a little bit of green there maybe on camera. Now here I have the flashlight at the engine bay on the flood mode, and this is magnetic, so I can attach it to the hood, and this is what it's lighting up under the hood. And I've turned my camera light on so you can see where I've attached it here. So if you're doing a general purpose diagnostic, you can attach it to the hood and you can look around, then you can easily grab it and point it down where you want to. So that's the ArkPro Everyday Carry Flashlight. I really like the solid build of this. It just feels nice in the hand, feels very sturdy. It's easy to use. Even things like the charge port here, it's just very solid, snaps in place nicely. And I don't know if I mentioned it earlier, but this has an IPX7 waterproof rating, so that adds to the durability of it. So I found this very easy to use. It can look a little complicated in the instructions, but you press the button to turn the light on or off, and then you hold it down to change the brightness. And then while it's off, you can hold it down to go to the moon mode. But having these different modes would be great for things like camping or repair work. If you're doing repair work, you can use UV light with UV dyes. You can use it to find stains in carpet. And then you have the flood and spotlights for examining areas, doing inspections. And if you're working with someone else, you can use that laser if you want to point something out. So if you're doing an inspection, you want to point out, say, a connection on a pipe, you can turn that laser on and pinpoint exactly what you're describing. Same with camping. If you're going on a night hike, maybe with a youth group, you can use that laser to point things out. You can use UV light out to identify minerals that glow with UV. There might be moss and plants that react to UV light. Also, when you're walking down the trail, you could have that floodlight on to illuminate right in front of you, and then the spotlight for showing things at a distance. And I like the really bright modes these have, but I also like the really low mode, the moon mode. That can give you just enough light where you can see around without blowing out your night vision. So that's all I'm going to cover in this video. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. If you liked this video, please click like. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, I'd appreciate it if you could do that. And thanks for watching. Until next time, goodbye.